Alrighty, ladies and gents, welcome to a very fun, very exciting, very rare and unique Arabia game here, okay? We've got two players. One player I have touched on more recently in my videos. And in the blue, we have God of the Godless. Now, God of the Godless is a player who I uploaded maybe 1 month ago. I forget the title, excuse me. Maybe people in the comments can remind me. But he played in a game as the Huns, I believe, against Koreans. It was God of the Godless against... shoot, what's his name now? He's a Japanese player. Chart, excuse me. Yes, Chart. Both were top under 100 players. And in that game, I kind of talked about how God of the Godless does some crazy stuff. He likes to develop a build order, which is somewhat all-in and aggressive. And then he practices it. But he doesn't do only that build. Like, think Huang. Huang is really popular. Legend of Huang video, one of my all-time favorite productions. But Huang only does the same strat all the time. This guy will like develop a strat, practice the strat, and then move on and do another all-in strat with different civs, which I think means that he needs to have a little bit more of a reputation. And he's playing as the Magyars here, okay? So he's playing as the Magyars. We'll get back to him in just a second. Magyar is one of the best scout rushing civs in the game. We have a very open map on Arabia. Here we have Zayun, and I apologize for having this wild introduction for God of the Godless and not having this wild introduction for Zayun. But I do recognize this player, and I do believe this player, when he's active, is around or in the top 100. And I believe he is an Asian pro, but forgive me, I forget if he is a Chinese player or a Vietnamese player. I just remember dying to him and then having a similar thought of like, oh, who is this guy? And then realizing, oh yeah, he just goes through periods of inactivity. The R-Ace tag is, I believe, his clan. And the R-Ace players, there's been quite a few over the years. I believe they're mainly Chinese players. But anyways, he's playing as the Khmer. So, I talked about it in the King of the Desert tourney. And thanks to all the people who watched my cast of that on the stream and also on YouTube. But in the King of the Desert tourney, there were very few scout rushes. At least the highest level players were not opening with scouts. What they were doing instead was always opening with Drush, always opening with Man-at-Arms. And I don't want to talk about that really at length, but basically it's because they made the map so open, and there's been 5 wall nerfs since DE came out, and it's now at a point where on an open map you can never get full walls down, and the best way to apply pressure is go Man-at-Arms archers. And so what happens is, against scouts or Man-at-Arms, players go tiny walls right around their woodline like this, and then you need a ranged unit to shoot over it, right? So players aren't going for full walls. Typically you're not going to see scouts, so we'll see what happens here. These guys are, of course, a bit off the tippity top. We have a 3-on-wood start for God of the Godless. Then we've got a 4-on-wood start for R-Ace here. Or not R-Ace, sorry, Zayun. So I believe he's going to go... he's going to maybe go for that barracks opening. The 4-on-wood normally is an indicator of that. What I try and do with my content is I try my best to have variety. And I do that for you guys. I care about the people who watch my videos and support me. But I also do it for myself. Now, this might come off as somewhat hypocritical as someone who likes to play mainly lands maps. There's going to be someone out there who's like, yeah, we'll play Arena then, T90. But truthfully, what I love about Age is just how much depth there is. And how unique each player is. And all the different types of games you can have. And so, you know, as we dive into this game here, this is hopefully going to bring something different and more exciting from your average Arabia game you might have seen over the past couple months. And then, whoop! Oh, we got a hit in there, actually. It's not bad. And then, hopefully, as we see a barracks now for God of the Godless. Oh, there he is. Surprise, surprise, going Man-at-Arms. You know, if we have more content coming to the channel, you're going to see different things in the form of even just different maps. And I can promise you that it's going to be really cool. So, final moment of this cast. And I guess I'll ask the opinion of the people who are currently watching on the live stream on the meta. But final opinion on this cast is, I really think that things have gone a little overboard with the whole wall nerfing thing. I don't like how on an open map, it feels like every high-level player, this would be myself included, I'm at their elo. If I play, I'd be opening Man-at-Arms with 2 scout civs. I'd like to see that shift a little bit, possibly, in the near future. Maybe I'm crazy, but, you know, crazy people like to spout their opinions all the time. As we have the barracks here. Okay. Facade says, Arabia guys are bitches. They always complain when they get an arena. Bro, don't even. don't even. That's so aggressive. Calm down. Calm down. Sounds like an arena player who's really upset with me right now. Like, oh, he's such a loser. Oh my god. Meanwhile, my good old buddy John Slow, who we might have in some of the cast this week, literally does the same thing on the other side of the spectrum. People want to play what they want to play, buddy. No need to call people names. It's so aggressive. Now check out the difference in the uptime. You see this? We're gonna have Red up. Red's gonna be up, but he's 2 villagers up, and yet the difference in the uptime to feudal age is only 1 villager. You might be thinking, what? How did that happen? How did that happen? Well, actually, God of the Godless took a risk, and he is waiting to get loom until early feudal. So he gets away with having 2 more vills, and he's even adding the 4th militia now as he's been scouting what the opponent's up to. So that's a good move. If you don't think you're going to get hit early, if you have the scouting intel, and he did, he saw the barracks there. Great way of playing it. Now check it out. Magyars get the forging upgrade for free. That applies to the scout. They do have cheap scouts as well, so everyone's always thinking scout rush, scout rush, scout rush. But Red is going for that meta. He's going 3 men-at-arms into the range. That is very much the meta. But if you pay attention, he doesn't have his scout in position. And so he gets overwhelmed with numbers. And quite honestly, he gets completely wrecked here. I mean, his units are almost dead. But on the bright side, he did actually snipe that scout. And I think God of the Godless will be kicking himself for losing that scout, because he could easily have pulled that one away. Now, behind this, both players are playing this the exact same right now. So it's how you play into the next phase of the game that really separates the both of them. When you're thinking Khmer have amazing farms. They don't have to drop off their food from farms at a mill or at a TC. So as the game goes on, Khmer farm speed really helps. And then with Magyars, you know, you're thinking the potential for scouts later, but very rarely are you ever seeing this. He's gone man-at-arms, 4 men-at-arms, too, into a sneaky stable. He's hidden this from the enemy. The Red's thinking meta. Oh, God, he's going to go archers. He's going to go spearmen. And God of the Godless actually did not wall this like a lot of players will. And he's actually going to fight with his vills. Doesn't really micro too much with them either, but losing 1 villager. And that's about it as the scouts show up and the man-at-arms show up. So the scouts go in after the archers. The man-at-arms now go in after the berries. And Red's got to be like, what? Huge surprise. And just like that, God of the Godless is going to retaliate with a vill kill. And you've even got a lion in here. But man, that was so well planned. Like, he could have easily come back home to use those scouts against men-at-arms. And he could have killed them. And he wouldn't have lost the vill. But what would have happened is, then Red would have had time to make spearmen. And then Red would have had time to think about things. Instead, the scouts arrived and it completely overwhelmed Red. Now he's got to fall back, and he's only got 4 army. He lost his men-at-arms. And then he hasn't been producing scouts. But great quick walling here. This is where ranged units may be needed. Some archers behind the gold would definitely force those villagers away. It's worth reminding you guys that Khmer can hop inside of houses with their vills too. So you even see more houses for Red. He just wants to hop in and out of houses. And he's kind of got to just stick next to this TC for now. You can't put your archers inside the houses. Otherwise, I think what he should do is he should maybe sit in here. And those Magyar man-at-arms are shredding that palisade. Another villager comes over to repair. And God of the Godless invested into horse collar and everything. Look at this, guys. You do not see this a lot. He got horse collar after delaying it for a bit. So now his farms are going to last a while, and that's a sign that he's going to stay in the feudal age for a while. The Red seems very overwhelmed by this. I garrisoned villagers, but I guess forgot about it. But good job. In the end, he doesn't lose any more vills. God of the Godless actually has TC idle time, so God of the Godless is behind in vills. But as I say that, he dives in for a vill snipe. Nope, backs away. Now, I think what Red might need here is a second military building to produce out of. I would say continue to use the barracks and continue to use the range. But if you're able to get enough scout numbers, 1 or 2 spearmen at this stage of the game is not really going to scare you away. Especially if you've got all that extra attack. Good micro from Red, though. Who, again, has the villager lead. But God of the Godless, man, you can see he's just waiting to come in on the other side of these archers here. This sucks. I hate it when this happens. These villagers are running into each other. He's got to delete the palisade and fix that. Back at home, what's the plan for God of the Godless? He makes another stable. It's really funny, too. He's making the stables at the back of his base. He's like, he sneaks the first one and surprises the enemy, and he's like, oh, I'll surprise him again. And Bloodlines means the scouts have 65 HP. Forging means they've got that +1 attack. And now Armor's in as well. You could be extremely dangerous. Now, you see how the scouts reposition when they're in box formation? This is why a lot of players use box formation, if you didn't know this. And he's moving them around. Whoever's in front or whoever's in back, it's all going to stay consistent. That's why low numbers of scouts, they stay box formation. If you go with the straight line formation, the back one will go to the front will go to the back, and it just removes some of that structure. God of the Godless still hoping to get villagers, but Red goes, whoop, right into the houses. And so, you know, if you're looking at someone at a super high level, like top 10, like Viper, for example, he's so comfortable hopping in and out of the houses. And it just gets dangerous when you invest further and further into Feudal Age, usually. As they, in theory, will save the resources to go up to Castle Age. But it's going to be tricky. That idle time for Red's been extremely high. Does feel like Red's army could fight the scouts and kill them, but the scouts can always dictate the pace of the game. Right, here comes the scouts. Oh, man, and not a good engagement there. 2 scouts go down. Now, this is where I think Red needs to immediately go forward. He's doing it now. When you get those kills, you don't have to worry about your home as much. And now I think you just run forward. So God of the Godless sensing this, tracking this. And he has 2 stables producing those scouts. Now, with these numbers, there's 13 army, there's 2 spearmen. Honestly, the spearmen don't matter too much. I think, more than anything, it's just the archer numbers. And getting even armor on your archers, none of that really helps here. I think you'd need, 13 scouts seems about right, actually, to be able to pounce on this. And God of the Godless is not showing himself right now. So Red's like, okay, he's probably coming to my base. So I need to hit his base. I'm completely walled. He just checked to make sure he was walled. He is. Here he goes. He's thinking, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him. Oh my God, I'm going to kill him. Oh, easy kills. Easy kills. Little does he know God of the Godless is on the other side. However, this will still do some damage. 1 villager goes down. That's a tricky scenario. Do you go for the army or do you go for the villagers? The villagers have now left. But yeah, I think you just try and micro your best here. But scouts are just the stronger unit in these numbers in open fields. And those archers just get mopped right up. But we still have a game. We still have a game. I mean, some people might say GG there. It's at YouTube level. Sorry, YouTubers. I love you. But guess what? Red has been producing more army, and he's even has more spears this time. So it's 17 army, some of which are weak from the engagement for God of the Godless. And here comes the next army from Red. I really hope people don't get offended by that. Oh, God. Just passing, people. Oh, come on, God of the Godless. Don't tell me you're going to pass these 2. Okay, he sees those 2. That's huge. But now we have a crazy base trade, because this is all going to get cleared up because the scouts came here. But here come the archers and spears, and I don't think God of the Godless even knows about this group right now. Now, there was a chance at an overchop over here. That didn't happen, but it's getting dangerous. And then the gold needs to be quick walled, as Red does quick wall. I told you, these players are really, really good. Now God of the Godless knows about this. He's still only on 2 stables, and I don't think that he's going to be able to fight spearmen and archers like this. And we have Red on the way to Castle Age. Scouts make it through, though, so that will lead to some villager kills. Red hopping in the houses nicely, though. And I have to say, this is an amazing game. There's been aggression on both sides. It's been a little more open for God of the Godless. He opened up in a unique fashion. We have the Khmer player having defended nicely, somehow keeping Vills alive, somehow getting a counterattack in, and God of the Godless is losing his freaking mind now, as he has to abandon not this wood line, but this wood line. Now, Duve in chat brings up an excellent point. He says, what about skirms for God of the Godless? So I'll tell you this much. The issue, there's a twofold issue with that. First issue is focus and aggression. If you're being aggressive with scouts and queuing scouts and adding farms, you're doing all that. Adding in the ranges and getting a tech switch is sometimes too difficult. And you can see that the scouts are actually good enough to clear up this army anyways. Yeah, that's the first thing, dude. Like, I know with my skill set and my APM, it's so much more effective to just continue to produce the army I've already invested into upgrade-wise and building-wise and expand the farms than it is to try and spend hundreds of wood to add archer ranges and then make skirms. And also, the other thing is, then at that point, you could always have the Khmer player add a knight. And, like, one knight in Castle Age in this type of scenario melts those skirms. So, yeah, skirms are actually really good, but you have to play towards the time windows. And I think making scouts all the time is really his best play in this game. But unfortunately, as good as God of the Godless played, the enemy is going to be in the Castle Age. That villager's hiding. He's he's dead now. Rip to Jimmy there. And, I mean, Red's in Castle Age, adding the TC here to protect the gold. Does have the wood line here. It's messy, but still protected. And we have the pikemen upgrade. Pikemen are a counter to scouts. So pikemen would do a very good job there. I see this as a problem area for Red. And I see offensive pressure or lack of offensive pressure as a problem area for Red. So for now, he needs to defend. For now, he needs to gain a vill lead, and then eventually he can push back with something stronger. But pikemen and a few archers isn't enough. I think you need pikemen, crossbow. But defense is certainly fine in this scenario, as God of the Godless is now 30 seconds away from the next stage. And now Duve's going to be happy. God of the Godless, 4 ranges. This is amazing. An expansive economy, crazy military numbers. Remember, this is a guy who in that upload idled his TC like he's Huang and a one-trick pony. But what I appreciate about this player is he also has really considerable skill to play normal games as well. Now, no crossbow upgrade for Red. It seems super risky, but he does gain the vill lead. It's 73 pop versus 73. Can't make it up. And you just know God of the Godless is keeping an eye on these trees right now. He's clicking them. He's like, okay, is he going to overchop that? Of course, the attack upgrade comes in for free for the cav units. God of the Godless, I think, was actually making a house there to stop any army patrols. Players will do that because armies will patrol into the houses and it gives you a heads up. So God of the Godless was patrolling around for damage at Red's base. Couldn't find any. And is now choosing to come home. And this is an opportunity where Red could actually add the 3rd TC on the wood line. Because he knows the army's not there. But maybe he doesn't know for certain. The overall KD, God of the Godless, is leading. And he's going to go cav archers and light cav. With no signs, at least right now, that he's going to add the 2nd town center. I think the timing on the counterattack was actually good for Red. I think the longer that he waited, the worse it would get for his composition. So I do believe the time window is actually correct here. It's just that God of the Godless continues to produce so much. And those cav archers took care of the pikemen. Even some of the light cav took care of the pikemen because of that attack and ripped to Red's army yet again. Now, we're going to see a siege workshop on the front because God of the Godless has to be certain at this point the opponent's booming, right? He knows there's 2 TCs. And like I said, this is a perfect opportunity to secure the other area of your map. Because we're going to see the archery range. And this is a problem with Khmer. Khmer can hop inside houses. They have the amazing farms. They're good in messy games. But they don't really have a go-to unit that really excites you in the Castle Age. Whereas Magyars, they're light cav, they're knights, get the extra attack. Light cav are even cheaper. Magyars have the potential to have really sick cav archers in the Imperial Age. So there's no bonuses for them at this stage of the game. Just think of how much military you're going to have against these upgrades. The cav archers have full attack. No ballistics or thumb ring, of course, but they've got full attack upgrades. And then now it's full attack and armor for all the cav that God of the Godless comes in with. He goes back to the wood line. He sees this. If you don't react immediately here in Red's position, you're just going to lose everything. Reacts a little late. Ends up losing 2 vills. Here in the front, you've still got those cav archers fighting, but good army count for Red. Very common thing for the player who has town centers to sit back for 3 to 5 minutes here. Expand their economy. You see a university as he'll probably want to go for ballistics. Now, you could go for a 2nd TC if you're God of the Godless. In the back of his mind, he's got to be thinking the opponent's going to boom. I need to do the same. But if you do that, you never afford the university. You never afford the siege. You never afford ballistics. And so as he pressures red here with one group, he's now going to go in here and he's going to start ramming down this archery range. It's also similar to what I had said before in the cast. It's like, it's so much easier to focus on pressure when you're not trying to add the TCs and do everything else. So he must have been housed. He's placing houses everywhere. He's 15 villagers behind. But if you look at the army value, that tells you the cost of the army. His value is double right now. As red, to his credit, gets ballistics. He sends some pikemen over here. Not enough pikemen to clear it up, but it does help. Still, though, I love how God of the Godless has continued to pressure in 2 separate groups instead of sending everything into one spot, because this makes red's job so much more difficult. Because it's so hard to focus on multiple areas of the map. Yo, Jackson, glad you could make it here, man. Sorry, I'm not able to talk about anything right now because we've got a crazy game. And now red's thinking, maybe I'll go Scorpions. Like, maybe that's the one thing you can get excited about with the Khmer is their 8-range Scorpions. You never really get excited about it, though, if there's Mangonels or if there's Knights or if there's Light Cav out. As the Light Cav go in again, 65 villagers versus 76 now. And one big shot could do it. Red micros. Such good micro from him, honestly. Another shot, though, doesn't get the hit. 97 pop versus 97 pop. And what excites me about this as we see this split is that for many of you, you're just like, I didn't even know who these players were until I started this game. And there's some incredible talents out there in Age of Empires. From what I know about Red, he's fairly inactive at times. And he just comes back, beats it up in some ranked games, and goes back to living life. But he is still under pressure. There's still so much pressure going over here. And this is the gaping hole in Zayun's wound. And God of the Godless just continues to twist the knife in there time and time again. He's like, oh, you want to protect your hill? That's cute. Bring everything you've got. And then he sends in that spam with the knights right over here. I like how he's made more units now. Rams just going in for the TC. Even if he loses the Rams, I think he'll be happy here. Because he's at least forcing idols. And look at the Vil! He has the audacity to repair the Ram underneath the TC like he's an expert AI. Unfortunately, she will probably die, but it did help a little bit. It was a ridiculous moment there, and ridiculous micro from God of the Godless, who saves his Mangonels. The Mangonels could finish the job now, and now that Vil lead that Red had is going to be gone. It certainly doesn't have the efficiency of the economy. This TC will be repaired and probably re-garrisoned, but you can't produce many archers if you're Red because your ranges have been rammed down. And he is all of his farms idle, so he can't make pikes. And he's forced to call the GG. As I said, this player is extremely fun to watch. He can do it all. Now, I don't think there's going to be many games like this one in the present meta. And that's something that I think is a sad thing. I want to see more games like this. When I first started casting in 2014, this was how Arabia was, man. Full open, full aggression, lots of army. And you know what I think it is? I talked about it yesterday. I honestly feel like the potential for the top couple hundred is there to play every game like God of the Godless played it right now. The issue is there's like 5 to 10 players in the world who can get away with so much crap with less army. Like Leary, for example. 1 archer range, macro to castle age, kill you with ballistics. There's only a few players who can get away with a few things. And so all of us try and adapt and play like those few individuals. But guess what? We are not those individuals. We are not those individuals at all. And God of the Godless shows that he's a unique player with some really unique style there. And if you're a fan of Magyars are one of my favorite civilizations. This is just a dream. You got to see the Man-at-Arm extra attack. So that's not normally how they open, but you had Man-at-Arm play. You then had the Scout play into Light Cav after a lot of Scout production into Knights and Cav Archers. It was beautiful. And honestly, I'm surprised Red didn't die harder to that. Like, that was my thought at about 25 minutes, is how is this guy not dead yet? He did such a good job gaining a Vil lead, and you can see that all in the... you can't really see it on the timeline, I guess. Yeah, you can't really see it on the timeline, but he did have a 15 villager lead. There is actually a stat here that I can show you guys that says how many vills they had in their lifetime. And yeah, this is pretty telling. So God of the Godless had 75 total in that game. And then it was 71. Sorry, I'll get this in a second. It was 71 that he had at the end of the game. So obviously he lost a few. For Red, he ended the game with 72. And he had a total of 116. So I'm going to do the math on this because I'm a professional content creator who doesn't have to use a calculator. So I'm going to do this all in my head. 1 second. Okay. So 116 minus, what is it? 72 is 44. 44 times 50 is 2,200 food. I did that all in my head for you. So he had to invest 2,200 food into getting a vill count that at the end of that game was essentially the exact same as God of the Godless. And that's the beauty of that 1TC approach. You know, when you invest into more villagers, you're hoping there's going to be a payoff later. But if the players invest their food into the aggression, then they'll potentially stop you from getting that payoff. A quality game there. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I should note that this is a part of my Games of the Week cast. We're pretty much doing this every 2 weeks here on the stream. So if I get to a point where I do this at a consistent day every single time, I will probably be a little bit more promoty about it. But I just hope people, wherever they find this, end up enjoying this. Also, I hope that people have a great holiday season. I'm currently recording this on the 20th of December, which is a little bit before my Christmas break, and I'm looking forward to it. Crazy game. I'm gonna be looking for more God of the Godless games because he's a very entertaining player.